That's us now. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. As I mentioned just before I pressed record, that I wanted to do something just to mark World Mental Health Day, and the really nice thing about World Mental Health Day this year is the focus is actually on workplace wellbeing. So I thought it was really nice to mark it in a way that to run a free session for, I guess, some of the clients that have already worked with me. I've advertised it across LinkedIn, and as I say, I'll get this recording out to as many people as possible just to sort of share the light of mindfulness and mindset. And as we're saying before the recording started, that people will find this when they're ready to find it. And what I'll say from the session for everybody, either live or watching the recording, is I'll probably come out with a lot of different things today. I tend to go off on a lot of tangents. I get really excited and passionate about this subject. So it's really just about taking little wee snippets and golden nuggets from today, not expecting you to remember everything, and certain things will resonate with you and other things might not. So just take what you like from it. And yeah, I always think mindfulness is one of these things that I guess it's like parenting. I'm learning a lot about that just now myself with my 4-year-old and a 12-year-old, and my 12-year-old's going into pre-teen age, and it's like a new language, and I'm like, I feel as if like mindfulness is a bit like that. Like we just kind of learn as we go along, and we don't have any expectations of ourselves, and yeah, it's a bit of a journey, and I think that, again, as cliche as it is, but life is a journey for everybody, and we just pick up things along the way. So I'm really glad to have everybody with us today. So I wanted just to firstly kick off with opening up this as a very much a participation meeting. So I know a few of the girls on can't just get the cameras on, but just please turn your mute button off, raise your hand if you want to, don't feel you need to, just jump in, and please participate with me, because I actually get more out of the session that I can then deliver to you, and you'll get more out of it by participating with me. I work really intuitively, which just really means that I have a loose structure for the session, but it tends to go off in different tangents and pathways because it's just really what you need on the call today. And I always believe that if you've got a question or a comment, that you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping everybody else on the call, and also everyone else watching the recording. And I've referenced Kerry. Kerry's been at one of my recent retreats, and I actually met Kerry at a conference that I was doing a mindfulness session at earlier on in the year, an employment law conference. So it's actually really nice to blend like my corporate world with my female retreat space, and I can send some details out to you all around the work that I do more in the kind of social media side of my business, sort of female coaching business, and I also coach males one-to-one, and I'm trying to get the world of corporate to be bought into more retreat spaces. So this year I've managed to get a local accountancy firm to come along to retreat, and it was a really great kind of alternative away day. So I think it's just nice to take some time out, isn't it? And so first of all, I want you all to really just take a little moment just to congratulate yourself today to actually be on this call. And it's really difficult to sometimes carve, a 45-minute or hour session out for yourself. So just take a wee moment to just thank yourself really for taking that time out to be here today. And as I say, I'm hoping you'll get a lot from it. And I feel like mindfulness is what we kind of call the ripple effect. So what that means is like you'll take something away from this today and then possibly share it with a colleague or a friend, and then they share something with a colleague or a friend, and it's actually through my session today that kind of ripples out to lots of people. And as I say, we can force people into learning about their own mindset and about their own kind of mental health and the modality of mindfulness that I practice, but we can just encourage people to, through awareness really, to have a wee look into that, and I guess that's the best we can do. So In terms of kind of workplace mental well-being, like we're all here today because we're in the workplace. Does anybody want to kick off to tell me a bit about like what the workplace culture's like in terms of mental well-being in your workplace, or what do you think is good, or what do you think there's like room for improvement? I guess you're all on this call today for a reason, so it would be really nice to hear from your point of view in terms of your own workplace and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I don't mind kicking off.
Thanks, Faye.
I think for, I don't want to speak on your behalf, Amy, so chip in. But we've spoken about our workplace culture in one sense is very open and positive about mental health because we operate within the mental health sector and education. So it's very much we are part of our purpose. Having said all of that, we have challenges in terms of actually making the time and the space, I think, to then support the mental health of our own team. And that's just because we want to do more about that, and people are stretched and challenged, and it can become a challenge for people to then, think, oh, I need to make time for my mental health. So we try and do our we try and send as much sort of positive messaging around that as possible. But I think it's very much habitual. So people do need to establish those habits, and then it will become in some way second nature. So it's very much aligned with us as a business, but there's certainly more that we want to do. I don't know, Amy, if you've got anything to kind of add in that very short summary.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just the reality of actually, making it a priority for everyone in the team. I think we do have those intentions, like they're saying, but it's just actually getting the team to understand kind of, the importance of it and kind of making it a priority for them in their day to day. And we can send out as much as we can, but it needs to be them to kind of take ownership of it. And kind of own it for themselves. But we have made improvements over the last kind of year or so, but we've still got some work to do.
Yeah, no, I think like what you both said there in a very short space of time, there's like so much within that, and I think that just the thing that's coming to my mind is like kind of practicing what we preach. So in the one sense, you have that as a company value, and that is definitely ingrained into your culture, and especially when you work in the line of mental well-being in some sort of way. And I think that some companies literally don't get it right at all just now, or they have things as a bit of a tick box. I've recently finished a project with a client where I was doing quite an intense piece of work for 3 weeks in the world of like my HR consultancy. And it was very evident to me. I was taking a company through a huge restructure project, and during the consultations, they basically highlighted the fact that they had like an EAP service, and there was like mental wellbeing support. But I think a lot of people didn't even either A, know it existed, or B, they've never used it before, and even in a crisis situation in the workplace, they didn't even intend to go away and use it. And I seen a statistic yesterday that apparently now the average is about, if you have an EAP service, only about 9% of employees actually use it. So it's looking at your kind of workplace culture and what the typical norms are in HR, and thinking a wee bit outside the box. And this is why I love teaching mindfulness in the workplace. So for anybody who doesn't really know me, well, me and Faye actually went to university together and studied HR many moons ago now, and we've both worked in the industry 15 plus years and studied HR for 4 years. And I think that it's just very evident in the workplace like how things evolve, but how actually when we started out in the workplace, the things are still there today as they were 20 years ago. And why I became so passionate about becoming a mindfulness coach, and both in my personal life but also my professional life. And now I have my own HR consultancy business and kind of niche around helping mental well-being issues, whether or not that's in like the HR consultancy, so like the employee relations, help a lot of businesses around employee relations cases with mental health, or training managers and how to deal with mental well-being in the workplace. I think it's about thinking outside the box now and how we're going to engage staff moving forward. So interestingly, this is a free session today, and like Faith from your organisation right now, as you say that, it's just two of you that are on the session, never mind sort of paying for these services. So that really brings me on now. Oh, sorry, Fern, you go.
No, I was just going to say it's an interesting point you bring up about the EAP, because Amy and I have been discussing this for a couple of months now, just in terms of the right offering, because I would say that it's not really about the helpline anymore, although, because look at your usage stats, and I think that's like kind of well known, and it seems to be you need to kind of do something a bit different with EAP. So it's quite interesting that.
Yeah, I think it's about, I think all organisations need to start off with a budget that they've got for the year. And I talk to so many organisations, and then I say to them, so now before I price something to do with mental wellbeing, I say, do you have a budget for this? Because a lot of the times you go back with like the work that you want to provide a company, and they're like, oh my goodness, like we don't even have that in budget. So I think it's about you starting from the top in terms of the finances, and then thinking outside the box as to, with that budget, what is the bang for your buck basically. And it could be like training your staff and how to deal with mental health issues if they're managers, or it could be, like I offer like so my main modality teaches mindfulness-based CBT, so I offer that in a variety of different ways to organisations. You could literally have one session, you could have a half a day training, you could have a full day training, you could have me doing that every week with staff or every other week. And I guess what we're saying here is like the old ways are just not working anymore, and the traditional ways of helping in those kind of tick box exercises. But that whole thing brings me on to the actual mindfulness content that I want to speak about today, because it isn't only the employer or the business's responsibility to take care of an employee's mental health. And I think this is where a lot of people kind of either deflect or don't want to take ownership for themselves, especially those that have maybe got challenging mental health at work, and that becomes, if we work in HR, a bit of a case in terms of how we need to navigate our way around that. And for anybody who's going to watch this replay who doesn't work in HR, I think it's really important that we all know that the first person that needs to look after mental well-being is yourself. And it's about taking ownership of your own mental health every day. And I say this all the time, like I have a phrase, and it's like mindfulness is like going to the gym for your brain. Whether it's mindfulness, whether it is actually going to yoga or going out a run or doing exercise or other forms of brain training or mindset work or picking up a book around positivity or manifestation or habit forming, whatever that looks like to you. And I think that's the important thing about how I teach mindfulness, is that I do have a structure to that, but it's about the individual person and how you bespoke that into everyone's life. So I'll use Kerry as an example. She came along to a retreat with like 10 other women. Well, first of all, you came to the conference where I shared mindfulness with a full room of employment lawyers and HR people, and then you've come along to a retreat where it's a much more intimate space, like-minded women, or if it was a mixed group, just like-minded people coming together. And you probably got so much different stuff from each type of session, but also you took away what you needed from that session or the retreat. And I think that's the important thing. It's finding individually how we look after ourselves, and it all comes down to self-care and what that means to you. And over the years I've learned a lot about self-care that I always have a joke, and all of my friends and family know that I love a bath. Like, that to me is like my ultimate form of self-care with a candle. But self-care in itself is much more than like your bubble baths and your candles. It's about looking after yourself, and if you use the word like holistic earlier on, and I like to describe mental health as a holistic approach. So when I teach that to managers and how to help someone at work, there's not just a one size fits all way to do that. There's a holistic approach of interventions that we have in the workplace, but for yourself, there's a holistic approach of how you approach yourself on a daily basis. So what I need today in self-care could be different to what I need tomorrow or what I need next week. And my self-care might look very different to Kerry's self-care, to Amy's self-care, to Victoria's self-care. It's you need to find your own measures and mechanisms of self-care. So what might be worthwhile, let's do a wee activity actually, just to kind of get our minds working. So if you are watching the recording, grab yourself a pen and paper, and I want you to just have a little think, and I want you to write your own name at the top of a piece of paper. So if you say Christie's self-care list or Keely's self-care list, and I want you just to take a few minutes to write down everything that is self-care to you. So give you a little other example. Self-care also means about your emotional state, and that could be towards your job or towards relationships. It could be putting boundaries in place. It could be not accepting things that you don't believe are acceptable. So it goes beyond like just like hobbies, or so just having a think sort of outside the box of what that means for you. Could also be things that you've been meaning to do for ages that you've just never get round to doing. And that could involve even things like decluttering your home or your workspace, or I love this just now, like just putting stuff on Vinted or charity shops, or whatever that is, and it actually just makes you feel good, like decluttering your space because it declutters your mind. Or it could be like hobbies or fun things that you used to do maybe before you had children, or adventurous things that you think, do you know what, like that would actually be something on my bucket list I would like to do. So a good example of that, and again, Faye shares these mutual friends, so she'll already know what I'm meaning. So we're all like kind of late 30s, early 40s, and we've all got children. And I went paddleboarding with my daughter a couple months ago, and it was very much a bucket list item that I wanted to do with my daughter. And then my friend turned 40 a couple of months ago, and she was like, "Oh, I would just love to go paddleboarding." So I got her that as a gift, as more of an activity to do. Because I guess when you get to a certain age, you don't really always want items, do you? You want to do life experiences, or just get like a half a day without your children to go and be you, the best version of you. And my other friend came with us, and I wasn't well that day, so I couldn't go into the water, but the joy that I got out of being able to facilitate that, like for my friends, and see them living their best lives and the best versions of themselves and feeling so exhilarated, and like actually just being them, like without their children for like half a day, like out in the water and out in nature, and just like feeling like, I guess, that sense of freedom, like just out of your kind of 9 to 5, like, and all the busy things we need to do at the weekends and all these challenges that we've got. So I'm not saying everybody has to go out and do water sports, but just thinking about things, even if it's once or twice a year, just doing things like that just feels a wee bit out of your comfort zone. So Kirsty, Victoria, or Keely, do one of you guys want to maybe share maybe just a little bit about your wee journaling experience there, or what you've got on your list, or what kind of, after this call, what I'd love you to do is like set new intentions for yourself, maybe between now and the end of the year, to achieve maybe some of the things on your list, Victoria.
Well, one of mine is lists. I just love a list and ticking stuff off as you do it, whether it be, you know, items that going on Vinted, because I am, again, organising. So yeah, stuff like that. But silly little things like a face mask and a foot mask, you know, every now and then, or just shopping, listening to some music. And I love my yoga and aqua at the minute. That's my kind of
Brilliant.
the time away, just to be me.
It's so good. And see, like yoga and doing other forms of exercise like that, it is mindfulness in itself, and it is kind of known as like mindful movement. So one of the myths around mindfulness is like we need to be like in a, you know, Buddha-like position for 40 minutes a day doing the meditation. Just to say, I much prefer lying down to do all my meditations, and I do meditations every single day. But you know, if I could just get a wee 10-minute one in, or 15-minute in, and when you do meditation, it's scientifically proven to give your body 4 to 5 times more rest than sleep. So actually, before this call, I had a really busy morning, and I'm laughing because Faye will 100% believe what I'm saying, because she knows if she phones me in the middle of stuff and I'm like, yeah, I was just doing a wee meditation there. So I came home and I was like, right, it's 11 o'clock. I could get like literally a 15-minute meditation in, and then I get myself a glass of water, get all set up, do my notes, I'm ready to go for this call at 12. And I know that by me doing that, it's given me so much more energy, but you also will receive a better version of me. And I sometimes do that as well. See, if ever I've got like a little window of opportunity before like my daughter comes home from school, or I need to go and collect my son from nursery, because as busy parents, when we're working, we go home and we've got another job to do. You know, being a parent is like another full-time job, or you know, in the mornings we've already felt like some of us feel we've already done a full-time job by the time we get into our office or logging into our computer. So if you can also find, you know, whether it is maybe going out a quick walk, or doing a meditation, or fitting a bit of yoga, or whatever that is for you to fill your cup back up. Self-care is a bit kind of cliche, but it's like you've got a glass of water, right? And basically at the start of the day, the water's completely full. And every time you give something of yourself to another person, your job, your children, your partner, you know, your friends, your parents, your family, whoever that is, your business, you're just pouring a little bit more out of that cup until that cup's absolutely drained and has no water left. And it's kind of like sort of dehydrating our body, isn't it? We're dehydrating our own energy, or equivalent to like, you know, plugging your mobile phone into the charger. Once that battery's drained, it's not going to work. So it's the same as yourself. So I love that. Like before my kids come home, sometimes I'm like, right, just lie and do this meditation for 10 minutes, and it gives me more energy. So we think that by allowing our bodies to rest, I always share that rest is a productive task. The productivity part of it is it actually gives your body more energy to then be more productive. So it's like a boomerang, like you pull yourself back to actually catapult yourself forward. And I always say, like, I really love clients that I work with are very high achievers, very driven individuals. A lot of people who work in HR, I don't think we do this job lightly. And we need to be able to have that energy, because we give it all out to everyone else, and I think that that's so important. So thanks, Victoria, for sharing that there's loads on your list there. And what I would like you to do is, for everyone, is to really commit to doing these things in your self-care list. And it doesn't mean you're going to do them all every day or even every week, but a really good thing that I teach my clients is time blocking. And I'm actually teaching my 12-year-old daughter to do this now, because she just started high school and she's really struggling with the transition of like homework from primary school to having all of these subjects now and homework every day for a subject for the next day. Plus she has clubs 3 nights a week, and then she needs to have downtime, and then she has a social, like, you know, so it's like ourselves. And you think, when you think of children, like, it's no wonder, like, children are the most mindful people. We're all born mindful, but because of our busy schedules and busy lives, we end up just in autopilot. And that's what mindfulness does, is takes us out of autopilot. So basically, carving, what I'd like you to do offline from this task is now take that self-care list and then carve yourself out time in your week where you can fit little blocks of time in. So we can't create more time, right? We can't make up, there's 24 hours in a day, we can't actually add more time into our day. But where I know that you can improve, and everyone can, I can, everyone on this call can, is finding wee snippets of your day that you can actually put in practice to your self-care list. And that's what I actually just genuinely believe is like the first step to improving overall workplace wellbeing, is by us taking accountability for ourselves. And Kerry, before we came onto the call, you were mentioning about, like, encouraging others, and I think the best way that we can do that is by being the biggest advocate and role model of our own mental health. And if we don't have our own mental health, then how could we possibly encourage others to have good mental health? And that's how it all begins, and it does become a ripple effect. There is so much that organisations can do to help aid that, and I believe coaching, to me, I'm so passionate about it, and I believe that I can personally reach many people in a short space of time, and you could give little snippets of things that you could just do, that one nugget of information that changes the whole life around. So does anybody else want to share anything different from Victoria? Is anybody get anything on their list that they've maybe want to do for a while? Or Keely?
Yeah. So once the kids are finally fed and in bed, I just like to sit and watch the TV.
Yeah.
Just switch off, just watch the TV, or play some games on my phone.
Yeah.
And that's my thing.
Yeah, just like total I call it like mindless activities. So
yes,
you don't need to think. You've just got like space for yourself. And you know what happens to us when, if you are a parent, you put your children to bed. I really struggle with my son's bedtime. He's actually nearly 4.5, and it's still an issue for me in my life. And there is also a point where you just need to have acceptance, and that's very difficult. But I know if I get myself worked up about that, it ends up a worse night for me and for him. And sometimes there just needs to be acceptance. But once that has happened, it's almost like, it's just like your nervous system can relax. And this is what happens to us as parents, or even in the workplace. So we are in what's called fight and flight mode 90% of our day. Okay, so what you're describing there, Keely, is your nervous system switching from, and this is a wee bit of neuroscience, you might want to write this down, don't worry if you don't want to, switching from the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight and flight mode, over to our parasympathetic nervous system, so parasympathetic nervous system, and that's known as our rest and digest response. So what's happening to your nervous system and body, Keely, at that time is no wonder that you don't want to do anything, because literally your nervous system's just went like that. No, I'm shutting down, I'm shutting off. I just want mindless activities where I don't need to think, I don't need to be responsible, I don't need to cater to anyone else's needs. I just want to sit and watch TV or play a game on my phone.
Yeah.
And by you carving that time out for yourself is really important. And me and Faye often have conversations like this. I'm getting later at my bedtime. Faye used to laugh at me because I'd be in my bed very early, but my bedtime is switching to a bit later now. But I know that Faye personally doesn't go to bed till quite late. And I know the reason why she does that, because by the time she gets all of her 3 children down to bed, she eats dinner pretty late, she does lots of tasks, and then on top of that, you then want your downtime, and you don't get that downtime until that nervous system has switched off.
Yeah.
And that's why we then stay up late, but then sometimes that can also be counterproductive in a way, because then we're more tired the next day, and then it's like a vicious cycle. So the kind of best advice I can give around that, especially with being parents, is, you know, trying to switch that nervous system off, so then you do get your downtime, but then you also get enough hours sleep. And I think that's really important, because sleep hygiene is one of the massive self-care tick list items. We need that sleep. Or if all else fails, like I said, if you've not had enough sleep, just go and do a lying down meditation for 15 minutes, and then you'll get the equivalent of an hour's sleep. And that's why I genuinely love doing it. Yeah. So thanks so much, Keely, for sharing that. And what I love about these sessions is I feel like, see, when we talk about things that are spanning across our personal life, our work life, like we all come to work with all an element of like your work mask on. And although you're sharing stories with people, like it almost feels like, oh, this is just me in a box here at work. But I believe to get the best productivity for yourself in the workplace and to be happy in the workplace, that we need to be ourselves. And in order to be ourselves, we need to also understand what works for us in our personal life and our professional life, because what we do know, especially in HR, is a lot of the workplace issues that we deal with is because of people's personal life or mental health, and that affects their work life. So the more, again, that word holistic, the more we can have a holistic approach to employees in the workplace, and encourage us to be ourselves and encourage us to talk about these things and normalise things that we've spoken about today, is going to just help overall employee well-being in the workplace. Does anyone else want to share anything that they've picked up, or just any comments, anything, just before we move on? I'm going to take us through a short meditation practice, so I wanted just to see if anyone else wanted to share anything first.
I think just one of the points that you raised about the rest, where I think we need to see more like people talking about that point is actually when it comes to your physical health as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we're still in the right place where people realise that they actually have to rest to get better, and it's like I constantly need to be doing something. And I think in the workplace, you know, that whole visibility piece, rather than just saying I need to take this day, whether it's a mental health day, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
Or because I'm actually genuinely unwell. And I know there's different reasons for that. Could be financial, it could be workload pressures, but the stats are there. If you don't take the time to rest, your recovery will be longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have mental health days in your workplace, like paid
No.
days?
No.
Does anybody, like Kerry or Christy, do you guys have that as an initiative in the workplace?
We don't, but because I'm the one that looks after the office, I am very much, if you're not feeling well, don't come in tomorrow. Don't bother ringing me, because I don't want you to have to get up early. If you know you feel like you don't want to, don't. Because we are majority, the three of us anyway, working mothers, and I know that we need that time and somebody to say that's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay to be ill, but being able to do that, I've actually been able to take time off. When I didn't have the team there to begin with, I felt very much, and it was me and the advisor, wasn't able to take time. Once I had them there and in place, it actually was able to say, actually, I'm going to have a week off when I'd had COVID, rather than being delivered my PC for me to carry on working. I would never dream of doing that for them. And so now it kind of put that barrier in of, actually, I'm not working either. I'm not very well. So it was good for me to find the boundaries as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I really relate to that, Christy, because I guess I am my business. So if I'm not well, or if I'm not working, then you're not earning money. And I think sometimes I can practice this stuff or teach this stuff, but when it comes to you, I also then need to be doubly compassionate with myself and have a good talk to myself and say, like what Faye's saying, well, you're not going to get any better unless you actually rest and you don't be hard on yourself. And I think we're our own worst critics, and it's just the expectations of that. But I think being a business owner adds a very, very, very different dynamic onto that as well. So it's really nice to hear that you've got that level of support now, and actually you being an advocate for your own self-care helps others in the team feel that they can be honest with you. So it sounds like you've got a really good culture going on there, Christy.
We do. I think we do. We do, there we go.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
good.
Yes, we do.
That's good. Faye, I'm thinking what else you were saying there.
No, I was just picking up on your point because I just think it's so important. Like you said it, and then I was speaking to someone at nursery drop off this morning who clearly shouldn't have been at their work. Like they were so unwell.
Well,
And
was
I'm just like, and the reason is financial, and I get it, small businesses, but this person was not well.
I know, and I think what I've seen again from doing like another kind of stint in a short space of time in the corporate world again, and also the small businesses that I look after in terms of HR practice. I think what I've found, and I think hopefully you'll agree, I think you probably will agree that because of COVID and the working from home culture we have, absence rates as a recorded rates are much lower now, but that doesn't actually mean that less people are being absent or sick. It just means that people are able to hide better behind the screen, and we don't have that level of, although the world is changing again, more hybrid, or I help with like restructure projects where we went from everyone working from home to getting the whole office back to the office and things like that, which I don't know if I personally agree with entirely, but I think that presenteeism was an issue in the past, as in people coming into work unwell. But I think it must be even worse now, presenteeism figures, because there's lots of people that actually work from home that are too ill to work. And that actually came up a few times during the consultations that I was delivering recently. They were like, oh, but what if I'm sick? Then would I be able to work from home? And I had to have several conversations with people to say, well, it's just like pre-COVID times, if you're too ill to come in, you need to question, like, are you fit enough to give 100% capacity and productivity working from home? So is it just because of the commuting and you don't want to spread germs, or is it actually because you're not well enough? Like, so if you're not going to give 100% productivity, then you're too ill to work. So again, it takes us back to that vicious cycle of, and then if you don't take the time off, then you're still going to be sick for longer. I think there's just like a lot of room for improvement with this stuff, isn't there? And what I love about mindfulness practice is it really gets us in tune with our body and mind connection. I'll just give a really short explanation of this, as like how in tune I am to my body now because of mindfulness. So a few weeks ago, I was bitten by a tick, and I didn't know. I knew I had a bite on my leg. I know it sounds a bit silly in hindsight, but I had a bite on my leg. But I'd been in Spain a few weeks before, and I had like mosquito bites on my left leg, and basically they were clearing up. But then on the Sunday evening, I noticed this bite in my leg. It was annoying me, but never really thought about it. And then on the Monday and Tuesday, I started becoming unwell, like kind of like vertigo symptoms, sort of flu-like, but not the flu, like a stiff neck, like just feeling horrible. And I couldn't pinpoint what was wrong, but because I know my body so well, I knew there was something not right. But even knowing my body so well, I kind of ignored it for 24 hours, and then I felt that the next day, and then I had to go. I actually did go and lie down on the Tuesday afternoon doing one of my meditations in my bed, and my mind actually signalled an alert, or my leg signalled an alert to my mind to say something wrong with your leg. And I lifted my trouser leg up, and I had like what I now know. I didn't know this about ticks, but basically it's like a bullseye ring mark on your leg. And when I put the symptoms and this bite mark together, I recognised obviously I actually had symptoms of Lyme's disease. And without me being so in tune with my body and then acting on that, obviously it's quite a dangerous thing to have. And the reason I share that is because if we're running an autopilot and we're not really in tune with our own bodies, and we're not really in tune with like the level of rest we need and different things, then we're just running on empty, and longer term that's not good for our health, and obviously then not good for like your productivity levels and your job performance and your chances of accelerating your career, or and for people who own businesses or managers maybe watching this, like, it's also not great for productivity and then ultimately profits of an organisation. So again, it all starts with the individual, but what would be lovely to see in organisations more is getting that right investment or level of support you want to provide for your staff, instead of it being, I'm just saying about the EAP because that's a statistic I've seen lately, like, what is the point of spending all that money on an EAP service that 9% of your workplace are going to use? So it's just thinking outside the box. Okay, I could literally talk to you till like 5 o'clock today, but I know we're all busy, and thanks so much for coming to this session, probably over your lunch break, so I really thank you for doing that. What I want to do is just finish off with a short meditation practice, just get your feedback on how that was for you, and then at the end of the session I will get this recording out, and then I'll just follow up with everyone in terms of if you want to have a chat to me about anything we could do with your own workplace, all different kind of solutions and options that I've got in the way of mindfulness or mental health training for your organisation. Okay, so all that said, if you've never done any meditation before, please don't worry, it's all suitable for beginners. If you have meditated before, I just want you to come into this practice today with what we call a beginner's mind in mindfulness, and all that means is just really coming into this as a new day, a brand new practice, a new environment. All I want you to do is really, if you've never meditated before and you start to think, am I even doing this right? That means you're doing it right, because you're actually questioning, am I doing this right? So that means that you're present, and that's all we're just trying to get you to do today, is just to be present for a few moments. So what we describe, I teach mindfulness to children now. I've started running children's retreats, and I bring a little monkey along to my sessions, and the reason I do that is a little prop to teach children that basically in our mind, it's called the monkey mind. So it's like, if you can imagine like a monkey jumping from like branch to branch in your brain, so that your brain is a mind wandering muscle, and what that means is there's nothing wrong with your mind wandering. So your mind is going to wander throughout this meditation. What you're going to do is train your brain to come back to the present moment. So if there's one thing I just want you to take away from this today, is that you can train your brain to come back to the present just by actually being in the present, and I'm just going to guide you in how to do that. So we're going to do what's called a 3-step breathing space. This is a really short and effective meditation. I love teaching it to corporate professionals because it's just a really quick win meditation. We'll just settle into it, we'll become aware of the present, we'll pinpoint an area of our breathing, and then we'll just get an overall sense of how our body is feeling today, and maybe get a bit of body and mind connection. This is the signature meditation in the modality of mindfulness CBT that I teach, so it's mindfulness-based cognitive behaviour therapy, and it's a combination of teaching mindfulness techniques and tools along with CBT techniques and tools to actually change the neural pathways of your brain over time. So that's just a wee short description of what we're going to be doing today. So all I'd ask you is, like, just drop your shoulders down from your ears, especially when we sit in sedentary positions. I always get that word mixed up. We're obviously all very hunched over, so even if you want to just stretch your body out first, so just feeling that, oh my goodness, I'm so tight as well. And then just kind of relaxing your shoulders down. So we want to be in what's called an erect and dignified posture. So all that means is we're not hunched over, but we're not sitting there's a pole in our back. We just want to try and feel as comfortable as possible, grounding our lower half body, sitting into the seat. If your feet can fully touch the floor, great. If they're just touching the floor slightly, just connecting to that earth's core, so just grounding yourself into the present. Then with your hands, you can either put them on your lap, just placed down, or on your lap with your palms up, and that is called the receiving mode. So if you're feeling extra anxious and overwhelmed today, I'd recommend that you put your palms of your hand down on your lap, because that's just going to help ground you a little bit. If you're feeling like you just want to get some energy and feel really revitalised for the afternoon, you can put your palms up, and that just makes you feel like you're actually just receiving some source energy into your body. And then kind of lastly, just dropping your eyes over. If you don't feel comfortable, completely drop them over. You can just have what we call an unfocused gaze in mindfulness practice, which just means you're basically just staring into space, a bit like what Kaylee was saying with probably the telly being on, where you're just like mindlessly staring into space. So if you just drop your eyes over, for the purposes of this practice, I'm just going to keep my eyes open just to make sure I know everyone's all right on the practice. And then just getting yourself now into this comfortable seated position. So starting to feel your body as it sits on the chair. And just becoming aware of your feet as they are grounded into the floor. And also starting to feel the sensation of touch between the contact that your hands are making with your legs. And also feeling the sensation around your eyes. So when you close your eyes over, you may feel like a little bit of twitching or a warm sensation, or you may feel nothing at all. So just whatever experience you're experiencing is your experience today. So as I said before, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. All we want you to do today is just really connect to the present moment. And how to connect to the present is just by focusing all of your attention on your body grounded into your chair. So anytime your mind is wandering, which it probably has done already or will do several times throughout this meditation, just the one job that your brain has today is to bring your mind back to the contact that your body is making with this chair. And again, I want you to now just take a little moment to sit in a little bit of gratitude today for taking this time out of your busy day. Just sit in the present moment and recognise that although our mind is wandering and our mind's maybe trying to grab our attention into the future and what we need to do this afternoon, just nourishing yourself in the present and bringing your mind back to just simply sitting in this chair. And if you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed today, just recognising that right now in this present moment, giving yourself permission to not let your mind even go into the future, to not let your mind go into what you need to do next when you leave this meeting, just to keep pulling it back to sitting on this chair. So starting now to observe your breathing, and I want you to just find your way and attention towards your nostrils. And just starting to observe your breath as it flows in and out naturally from your nostrils. So in mindfulness, we're not trying to change our breath at all. We're never trying to get anywhere. This isn't even actually a breathing exercise at all. It's just to simply become aware of your natural breath and to observe your breath in this present moment. So as you breathe in naturally from your nostrils, you'll feel some cool air. And as the breath goes out of your nostrils, you may feel some warmer air. And this sensation of hot and cold is actually there all of the time. It's just that we're always so busy that we don't really stop to even observe the temperature change in our own body. And again, when your mind is wandering, just bringing it back now to the present and sitting on this chair, or maybe paying attention to the breath around your nostrils. So the first step of this meditation was just to become aware of the present. And the second step was just to focus on the breath around your nostrils. Again, pulling your mind as it wanders back to your nostrils. And then the third step is to become aware now of your whole body, just your body as a whole, and connecting with that mind and body connection now, and just scanning your whole body from the top of your head right through your body, just looking for maybe areas that require more self-care or that needs your attention. Just scanning your body, taking that time to focus on your whole body, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and then from the tips of your toes all the way to the top of your head. And as we finish this short practice today, I want you just to start bringing some movement back into your hands and your feet. Just wiggling your fingers and toes, stretching out in any way you want to with your whole body, and then just blinking open your eyes. Okay, so I hope that has just given you a little bit of peace in your lunch today, and just given you, even for 60 seconds, stopping the overwhelm of what you've got to do next. And knowing that no matter like how big things feel or how overwhelmed you are, that you just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other to get to the destination. And I think that that's so important, because overwhelm is such a big thing, and all we need to do is just keep moving one foot in front of the other. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that today. Is any like final thoughts or we've got like 2 minutes left, so if anybody wants to like share their experience of the meditation or just the session in general, then I would love to hear your thoughts.
That was really good. Thank you ever so much for giving the time to do that with us.
Oh, no
Yeah,
problem at all.
likewise. I enjoyed the meditation very much.
I nearly fell asleep.
Yeah, I was just getting really into it there.
She went
and
very
then,
quiet.
Oh,
then you wake up and realise where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
She was
is,
reaching for Netflix.
I know. Well, meditation itself is actually, mindfulness meditation is a practice to fall consciously awake, not fall asleep. And what that means is that it brings us into a space. There's so much in mindfulness that we can learn. You know, it's used for rest and nourishing our body, but it's also an amazing tool to gain a lot of clarity and focus in your life. And that's the kind of consciously awake part of it. If you do feel that you're really tired and you're going to fall asleep, I love it when people say that, because it's your body's way of saying that you do need more rest. So please listen to that, and as I say, like, find ways to rest your body, because rest is a productive task. And I think that if anything, if that's all you get from this today, then I'll be really happy. So thank you. Kerry, do you want to share anything about your meditation practice or anything that's came up for you?
No, I do find it hard to switch off, and I think we addressed that at the retreat. My mind just wanders, and I do need to practice it more. But I'm the same. I like to have the TV on, watching absolute rubbish, and just, again, you still think about things that are going on. But yeah, I think for me, my children are out the house now because I am over my 40s. That it's that guilt, it's the mum guilt that you'll all feel. Mine are out the house now, and I've still got that. I still feel that I need to be busy, and that will take all of you, but certainly it's taken me a while to kind of get over, and it's still something that I need to work on. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because it's kind of part of like a grieving process. So motherhood, I would imagine, and it's actually elements of probably sadness, but also using it as a space now for you, and an element of excitement, and realizing that probably like a void that you have in your life can then be filled with positivity for yourself. I think for you to find ways to not fill a void in an unhealthy way, but use the time now that you've got productively or for fun or finding things that are really good for you is going to make not only yourself happy but your children and your family happy as well, because they'll get a nicer version of you, and a really someone that's finding themselves. And I think we're all like women on the call today, and I know there'll be some guys watching, and I think the subject of menopause is relevant for everybody, because if you're a husband or a son of a female, that I think there's a lot of correlation between what I've just said there in terms of children leaving, but also menopausal symptoms and kind of grieving aspects of your body as a woman, and moving forward in that new cycle of your life. And it's a bit of a kind of I do a lot of other work outside mindfulness about manifestation and seasonal living, and I follow the cycles of the moon and things like that, and they talk a lot about like the death and rebirth of yourself in different chapters of your life, and it doesn't mean that we lose ourselves. It just means that we close a door to gain something else. And I think that's really a positive way to look at that, Kerry, for yourself. And I'd love to see you other retreats to get yourself along and everything. So, but I won't take up any more time. I know we've ran past 2 minutes, so it was lovely to see everybody again. And for all the new faces, thank you for joining me. And I'll follow up with you individually on anything that you need to know. Okay,
thanks a lot, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.